Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah amma ba'd. So now, in this segment, we're going to conclude what the Shaykh has discussed throughout the course of this book, and basically a summary of this series also, Shaykh Abdul Aziz bin Baaz, may Allah have mercy on him. So he says, as part of his conclusion, the first thing, وبذلك يعلم, now it becomes clear to us, أنه لا مانع من أن يكون هناك فضاء بين الكواكب والسماء الدنيا. Islamically, there is no objection for us to understand that between us here on earth and the Sama' Dunya, that there's going to be fada, there's going to be space in between them. And it is not as previously had been understood by certain people that, you are on earth and the Sama' Dunya is beyond the clouds. And anything beyond the clouds is, restricted area. Humans can't reach there. The Shaykh is saying, we understand now that the fact that each one of these planets have their own orbit, it then explains to us that the Sama' Dunya is further away than, the atmosphere of the Dunya and the clouds. Point number one. Point number two, as a conclusion from this book, وَلَا يَجُوزْ أَن يُقَالْ بِإِمْتِنَاءِ ذَلك إِلَّا بِدَلِيلٍ شَرْعِي صَرِيحٍ. Nobody can speak about the religion unless they have clear evidence. So if you were to say that man has not reached the moon, you need clear evidence. If you have said man has not reached the moon because of something Islamic, the evidence and the burden of bringing the proof becomes even more intensified because now you're attributing it to Allah. So that's the second thing. The third thing now the Shaykh is saying here, كما أنه لا يجوز أن يصدق من قال إنه وصل إلى سطح القمر أو غيره من الكواكب إلا بأدلة علمية تدل على صدقه. Number three, you cannot believe anyone that has made a claim until he has brought proof to prove his claim. So if there is a country or a group of people who are claiming that they have done something scientific, then you need evidence to then believe them. Otherwise, the proof of burden still remains upon them. So the third thing, and again, this is a book of principles. So the first thing is, we've learned from the tafsir as a principle that the earth that we live on right now, the Sama' Dunya, is further away. Second principle, you are not allowed to speak unless you got evidence. Third principle, if a person has come to you with information, then you must verify it by going back to the experts. Fourth principle, the Shaykh then says, that it is not permissible for a person to make takfir or tafsiq on a person who has an opinion which is other than yours, as long as that is valid ijtihad. So now these people who are saying that man has reached space, or they've put themselves on the moon, etc., some people disbelieved in the fact that man can reach space and get on the moon, so much so that they have said that if you believe in that, then you are not Muslim because you've disbelieved in the book of Allah. They make takfir, this is called takfir. Or they make tafsiq, meaning they say that this person is a clear sinner. He has disbelieved in what Allah and His Messenger has said. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The Shaykh is saying that's not how differences of opinions work. If you've got your opinion to say that man has not reached the moon and they cannot do space travel for whatever reason, then that becomes your opinion. And you cannot then assert yourself in this manner by saying, well, if you disagree with me, then I'm going to regard you as a disbeliever or a sinner. Issues of ijtihad must be tolerated. Fourth principle. Fifth principle, ومن لم تتوافر لديه المعلومات الدالة على ذلك فالواجب عليه التوقف. This is so important. If you have no knowledge or information, now there's a difference between knowledge and information. Knowledge is knowledge of the religion which you are going to learn and believe in and act upon. That is ilm. Otherwise it becomes ma'lumat. And ma'lumat is information. Therefore there's a difference between knowledge and information. Information is that you know stuff, not necessarily do anything about it. You just know stuff. I know I need to pray, but I don't pray. That's not ilm. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly tells us that this person is still in a state of jahala. إنما التوبة على الله للذين يعملون السوء بجهالة. Surely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept the people who have made tawbah after falling into a sin because of their jahala. Imam Malik rahimahullah and others from the ulama of the Salaf have said that if you know and you don't refrain, you still remain as a jahil because you've got ma'lumat, you've got information, but you haven't got ilm. So the Shaykh is saying here now, if you've got no knowledge and you've got no information, then wajaba alayhi at-tawaqquf. Then it becomes wajib, a religious obligation for you to refrain and say Allahu A'lam. Now you could be a scholar or student of knowledge that says Allahu A'lam, or you could be a lay person, a regular Muslim that says Allahu A'lam. That becomes an obligation upon every single one of us to stop at our parameters and understand that this is beyond my limits and I don't know. The Shaykh, as part of his conclusion, actually says that really, وَمِمَّا يَدُلُّ عَلَى إِمْكَانِ السُّعُودِ الْكَوَاكِبِ, really, as a conclusion, we can see that man can reach the planets and they can involve themselves in space travel. And he uses something which was used as a way of trying to disprove man's ability to enter into space, the same ayat to prove that man can enter into space. Now this is very important. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, when he was giving a response to the Christians in his book Al-Jawab al-Sahih, Liman Baddala Din al-Masih, the correct response for those people who changed the religion of al-Masih, that's the name of the book. Within there, he gives a principle, which is that whenever somebody tries to attack the truth, namely Islam, but the truth in general, you will find that there is a contradiction in that person's claim. So they say, for example, they try and say something bad about Islam, and they say, well, Islam is an oppressive religion against women, for example. In that claim itself, you will find that there is a contradiction, either in what that person believes himself, that he is claiming this about Islam, but in actual fact he is doing it himself, or that the proof that he will use to say Islam is misogynistic and male-orientated, and he might even bring evidences from the Quran and the Sunnah, those evidence themselves are a proof against the argument that he is making. I hope that makes sense. And the Shaykh is exercising this for us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about the jinn, that the jinn used to ascend up into the skies to find information. We did this before from the ayat from Surah As-Safat and from the ayat of Surah Al-Hijr. And what they used as an idea from this is that they said that it is not possible for man to enter into space because they will then be pelted similar to the manner that the jinn are pelted with. So had it been true, then we would have seen man being pelted. وَيُقْذَفُونَ مِنْ كُلِّ جَانِبٍ دُهُورٌ وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ وَاسِعٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that they will be attacked from all different angles, and this will be something that they will not be able to penetrate because of the fact that they will be subject to punishment from the malaika. But in Surah Jinn itself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَنَّا لَمَسْنَا السَّمَاءَ فَوَجَدْنَاهَا مُلِئَتْ هَرَسًا شَدِيدًا وَشُهُبًا. This is part of the evidence that they use as well. That we used to try and go up to the skies to find out information, but we used to find it being protected, well protected by the malaika. وَأَنَّا كُنَّا نَقْعُدُ مِنْهَا مَقَاعِدَ لِلسَّمْعِ. And we used to have stations that we used to sit in the sky and wait for information to pass by, so that we used to be able to take some of it. فَمَنْ يَسْتَمِعِ الْآنَ يَجِدْ لَهُ شِهَابًا رَصَدًا. Therefore, the Shaykh is saying here, فَإِذَا كَانَ الْجِنُّ, as the jinn have now explained themselves that what they used to do, قَدْ أَمْكَنَهُمْ الصُّعُودِ لِلسَّمَاءِ حَتَّى لَمَسُّوهَا, that they used to go to, beyond the atmosphere of the dunya. They used to go beyond the clouds, they used to go beyond, they used to enter into space, let's say, and they used to touch the sama, حَتَّى لَمَسُوهَا وَقَعَدُوا مِنْهَا مَقَائِدْ, and they used to have stations that they used to sit and wait in the sky, in space. فَكَيْفَ يَسْتَهِيلُ ذَلِكَ الْإِنسَانِ في هذا العصر الذي تتطور فيه العلم. He is saying here, if jinn can do it, then man can do it. Especially now in the time of advancements and technological developments that man has been able to reach him. And remember, he said this 50 years ago. Therefore, the Shaykh is saying here that if jinns can do it, if there is an orbit that we can understand there is space, and then jinns can enter into that space, then man can do it also as well. And they won't implode, they won't be, it won't be biologically impossible, it won't be, scientifically impossible. And as we have seen before also, when we can understand that the Sama' dunya is further away than the sun and the moon, then we can then understand that a person will then be pelted when they try and go beyond to find information from the malaika. Not if you go up to Mars or any other planet or the moon, because that then the Shaykh is saying is possible. Therefore, as a conclusion from all of this, that it is possible for man to enter into space, it is possible for man to find themselves on the moon. There are no evidences to prevent it, and in actual fact, when we can understand that there is a religious understanding connected to this discussion, and there are no objections religiously, then therefore really this discussion is no longer a religious discussion and it becomes a scientific one. Meaning, is it possible scientifically for man to enter into space and put themselves on the moon or any other planet? Then if we're talking about the developments and advancements that scientists have made, then like we said, it becomes a scientific one and it is no longer a religious one, because we have explored all of the religious understandings and possibilities, and we have come to the conclusion that there is no objection to man entering into space and putting themselves on the moon or the planets having an orbit, etc. And with this we come to the end of the book. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the best understanding, and that He shows us what is truth and He keeps us away from what is falsehood. Likewise, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has mercy on the Shaykh for benefiting us with this noble book, full of principles which help us to understand our religion in the contemporary times that we live in. هذا والله أعلم. صلى الله على نبينا محمد.